Let's be honest, we are all attachment junkies to some extent or another. We have become so accustomed to attach our happiness to external things that we don't realize we are doing it half of the time. If we attach ourselves and our ability to be happy on a desired outcome, we can only find ourselves disappointed, stressed, or anxious when that outcome doesn't happen. That's why we need to learn to let go and start living from a place of happiness. If you want to be happy and live a stress-free life, we need to learn to detach from people and situations. It is crucial. And true detachment isn't a separation from life. It is the absolute freedom within your mind to explore living. I used to get attached to people and situations to the point where I was losing myself. I was so unhappy whenever the person I was with was not acting in a certain way or was not giving me the attention that I desired. I struggled with tackling complex tasks because I was so fixated on the outcome and on the how that I couldn't see the bigger picture. I couldn't see the smaller steps which I had to perform in order to solve the task at hand. But luckily, I found a few ways to detach myself whenever I get too caught up in a situation or a feeling, and this really helps me to get unstuck and keep moving with a fresh mind. And hopefully my tips can help you to detach as well, because it's important, dear. The first thing which we need to do in order to get detached is to be self-aware of our own attachments. And this can really help you to recognize when you are becoming too attached to certain things and enable you to identify patterns and triggers that may lead to attachment. And if you're able to do that, this will make it much easier to consciously detach whenever necessary. And we can get attached to absolutely anything. We can get attached to people, past memories, situations, material possessions, and that is truly not healthy. It is not healthy to depend on things outside of us for our happiness. Take a moment each day to observe your emotions without judgment. By becoming aware of your emotions, you can choose how to respond to life challenges and choose to detach whenever necessary. I think that one of the most important things which we need to do in order to get detached is to accept what is not in our control. I wasted so much time focusing on things which were outside of my control. And I used to get upset and frustrated at things which I couldn't change, at things that I couldn't do much about. And that was a pure waste of my energy. And when I realized this, I had to learn to detach. I had to learn to detach from my need to control, from my need to change the unchangeable. Sometimes we just need to accept the situation as it is. No matter if it is what we want it to be or if it is not, we just need to learn to accept things as they are. It is what it is. Certain things you can't change. You can only do the best that you can do. But there are things that are beyond our control, darling, and we should stop trying to control them because this is only driving us crazy. This is not helping us to progress and to do anything. Focus on you. Focus on your life. Go to the gym. Eat healthy. Nourish your body and your mind. Be kind to yourself and to others. Instead of wasting your energy on things that are outside of you, focus on improving your own life. Focus on doing the things that can benefit you. Detach from your need to control. Detach from your need to change the uncontrollables, darling. Sometimes the only way to move on with our lives is to let go and be done. I went through a very painful heartbreak and I was holding on to the past. I was so attached to a specific person and I was holding on to painful memories. But at some point, I had to make the decision to be done. I had to make the decision to move on because I was so over it. I was so over it. And I chose to be done because that person didn't deserve to take so much space in my mind. That person didn't deserve to have all my focus, and I had to take my focus back. I had to focus on myself and I had to take my power back. And sometimes things are that simple. Things are all about intention. You need to choose yourself over other people, darling. Whenever they're hurting you, choose yourself. Because if you're holding on to the past, this way you're only hurting yourself. Why are you torturing yourself like this? Choose to detach. Choose to be done. Whenever a situation or a person doesn't serve you anymore, choose to get over it. Choose to let go. Holding on to grudges and resentment only hinder your detachment. And we need to learn to forgive. And forgiveness doesn't mean condoning hurtful behavior, but it is about releasing the emotional grip negative experiences have on you. You can also learn to practice let go rituals. When I was going through that painful heartbreak that I just told you about, I wrote all my thoughts on a piece of paper and then I burned it. I really wanted to get a closure, but I never got it. And I had to find a way to separate myself from that person, from that situation. And practicing these type of rituals can really help you to mentally separate yourself from attachments and issues. And this is something that really helps me whenever I feel that I'm too attached to something. I write my thoughts on a paper, I burn it, and then I feel released. When I decided to take a career break, I was judged by many people. And once I was out with some acquaintances, yeah, because they were not my friends, and they started saying things like, you need to find a job. Are you searching already? They really tried to pressure me. And at first, I started doubting myself. I thought that I was actually doing something wrong. But after a while, I processed the whole situation and I realized that they were actually projecting. They were projecting their fears on me because they couldn't see anything else outside of the 9 to 5 world. They couldn't see any other possibilities. They couldn't see any other ways to make money outside of a 9 to 5 job. But that was their choice. That was their truth. It was not mine. And it didn't have to be. And at that moment, I learned that I had to trust myself. I had to trust my gut. Because whenever I feel that something is wrong, 95% of the time, my intuition is right. You need to learn to detach from other people's opinions of you. Because many frequently people project their truths, their fears on us. But we don't have to accept their reality for our reality. We don't have to accept their version of the truth as our version of the truth. Learn to trust yourself before you trust other people. I got to learn this, and now I feel so much better whenever I'm making any major life decisions. I always trust myself first. Learn to detach yourself from other people's opinions of you. Their opinions are just opinions. They don't define who you are, darling. You do. Choose to trust yourself before you trust other people. This will really make a change. Abraham Hicks says, the reason why you want every single thing that you want is because you believe that you'll feel great when you get there. But if you don't feel good on your way to there, you cannot get there. You need to be satisfied with what is while you're reaching out there. And this is so true. We need to quit the mentality of I'll be happy if or I'll be happy when, because this is delaying our happiness. We need to learn to be happy with what we have right now, even if we're not exactly where we want to be. We need to learn to enjoy the process, the journey of life. We cannot only focus on the outcome, because if it doesn't happen, we can end up miserable. We can end up disappointed. And sometimes when an exact outcome that we imagine doesn't happen, it's because God has better plans for us. The universe has better plans for us. And things are supposed to unfold in a different way. Things are supposed to unfold in a better way. And sometimes not getting what we want is protection. Rejection often means redirection, darling. Remember this. Your satisfaction with what is allows you to be happy and peaceful, regardless of whether you have what you think you needed or not. Stop focusing on the outcome. Focus on feeling good. Focus on feeling happy. And feeling good will bring you so much more than whatever you thought you needed. You will release the need to get something, to be somewhere, to have certain circumstances in place in order to be happy. You will just be happy. When we get attached to certain things, we become anxious and stressed and constantly worry about whether we're gonna fail or succeed. And this can lead to burnout, self-doubt, and lack of focus. Detachment, on the other hand, allows us to stay focused on the present moment, to stay focused on the task at hand, without being distracted by the outcome. Detachment helps us to approach challenges with a sense of calm and resilience, focusing on doing our best regardless of the outcome. And this is key for finding success and happiness in all areas of our life. If you tend to overshare, if you tend to feel sorry for yourself, if you struggle with believing in yourself, if you struggle with focusing on you, check out my other videos. I hope they can be helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!